Right then, how's everybody feeling?
Way so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I do hope you're doing well, mate, as always. Really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea news. Maresca shocked a lot of people yesterday, speaking about he always saw Reece James as a midfielder. It's created a big, sort of not a relative divide in the Chelsea fan base, a huge discussion. I want to get into it a little bit today, referencing an article on The Athletic, some stuff about Levi Colwill on BBC Sport, and a little bit of a reflection on Chelsea's record in the Conference League so far. Of course, 100% record. A bit on Tyreek George as well. That's really, really impressive indeed. So as always, I'll thank you for joining me. Easy to support the content. You just drop a like on the video, subscribe. Another way to support the content actually is to take a moment and listen to this. A big thank you to my partner Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Guys, Surfshark is a VPN, a virtual private network, the best out there in my opinion, and it's a must-have in the modern digital internet age. Why, Jan? Well, a VPN works by moving your internet's location elsewhere, which can offer you a multitude of services, and Surfshark is a slick, easy to use platform, service, and it has loads of different servers in loads of different countries. So let's talk about the benefits of this. Firstly, it keeps your private data safe away from those nasty, mean data pirates and criminals out there to do identity fraud and steal your data and steal everything off you. So a protective method from the bad guys is great, but also it keeps your browsing private. And let's be real, on the internet, we all want privacy. Good, right? But it's not just about keeping you safe, it's about enjoyment, opening up new means of entertainment. I'm sure many of you have experienced instances of being blocked out of certain pieces of media because you don't live in the right country. Well, with a couple of clicks of a button in a few seconds, you can move over to said country where the media is allowed and unlock that media. Watch the video, enjoy it, friends, with Surfshark. It's not just capped at an individual video though, you can utilize this on entire streaming platforms. That's right. Switch countries on Surfshark and those respective streaming platforms will open to you with that country's library. All the new media available to you, endless viewing options thanks to Surfshark. So yeah, it's a super great platform, it's a great service, but because you're a viewer of my channel, you can get 4 months extra free when you use my link surfshark.com/football. That's right, an extra 4 months free. Simply click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen now. Do yourselves the favor. Thank you, Surfshark. Thank you, Surfshark. What a wonderful service and a great opportunity to go get yourselves a naughty deal, mate. You've noticed I'll be wearing my Goat Gang hat. Wow, the gold is almost reacting to the green screen. In fact, it is. Why is that reacting to the green screen? It's like, it's not green at all. Oh, it's like yellowy gold. So, that's kind of cool though. Look at this. That's gonna make me feel sick, probably. Goat Gang merch available, Football Therapy merch available. Should you want it, man, it's available. It's there. There'll be items underneath, well, somewhere around the video box, I think. So let's talk Chelsea, shall we? First of all, where do we start? Let's talk about the Conference League quickly. We are in good form. 1 second, someone's at my door. Always a ruddy delivery when I'm filming. Such is life. Look, this is our record in Europe so far. Conference League, 7 games, 7 wins, 28 goals scored, 6 goals conceded. Now, rather concerningly, only 2 clean sheets. But, you know, a flawless 100% record so far. As you'd expect for Chelsea Football Club in Europe, I noticed, I went on Alex Goldberg's playback stream. I think there's a bit of a sort of negative mood at the moment. And I get it. It wasn't like watch, guys, if you haven't watched my match review from yesterday, go back and watch it. I go into the game. I talk about Shim. I talk about everyone, really. It's about par, isn't it? Or if it was 2-0, if we didn't concede that goal, it would have been about par. And all the context considered. If after that Enzo Fernandez put the second in and we looked like the changes made us look really good, it was maybe we could have got another 3-0 away win in Europe. Like I said, you know, we can moan all we want, but Copenhagen, of course, top of the league in their domestic league. They have been in the Champions League before. We faced them in the Champions League before. If this was in the Champions League knockouts, which again has happened before historically, an away win in a Champions League knockout tie, and it's an amazing result. It's a great result, you know. If you're the better team, if you're the favourite, it's a great result. But all things considered, it was. I mean, it's still. Shimweka, he's really, really highly thought of, the young striker. He'll get more chances, but you know, ideally, you didn't want to be putting in a 17-year-old striker to make his first start in a game that you're really trying to win. Of course, all our strikers are injured, etc. But you know, the job was kind of done, really. And the biggest piece of news was Reece James. What the manager said about him. We'll speak about that in a moment. But I want to show you, man and woman, this from Opta Play. Tyreek George is averaging 0.61, so over 0.6 assists per Chelsea this season. So amongst the Premier League players who have featured in 10 plus matches in all comps, only Bukayo Saka, he obviously everyone says they look alike, don't they, has provided a higher average at 0.64, so it's pretty much the same. Now, considering Tyreek George is a teenager, and he's been playing on both different sides for Chelsea, you know, come in to a side that isn't maybe settled and developed and chill. I also like to reference the fact how he hasn't scored his first goal yet, and I mean that almost oddly in a good way. Like, I feel like when he gets his first goal, Tyreek, I think he'll chill a little bit more. Like, his decision making will be even better. But his assists are excellent, the cutbacks and, you know, the movements, and I think he looks very good, Tyreek. I'm very, very happy with him. He's already trusted to play on both sides, and Maresca seems to really, really like him. So that's good. Another Cobham player coming through, looking good, and looks like he should be with us now for the long run. Like, even if there's, I mean, we'll see what happens with Josh Achampong, because he's not being trusted that much. It's so peculiar. I don't know what happened to Josh, because Maresca was like, yeah, he's the best player on the pitch, to just completely not using him at all, which is very confusing, I must say. Yeah, but he was obviously a positive of what's been happening lately on the pitch in these games. I want to quickly cite something that Levi Cole was on BBC, and then we will reflect on this Reece James story. Yeah. So, interview with BBC. Is it Nizar Kinsella? It doesn't say. But Levi Cole being interviewed on the BBC. He had this to say about the Chelsea manager. Or let's read this bit first. Italian Maresca, 45, was Man City assistant before winning the promotion to the Premier League with Leicester last season. He swapped the King Power Stadium for Stamford Bridge. And of course, this is where Levi Cole was being asked about him. He said this: I think with Maresca, the way he thinks about football is light years above everyone else, said Colwell. Of course, I have been blessed with loads of different managers, and that has been amazing. But Maresca is pushing me to understand football in a different way. That's why I'm very blessed to play football under him and learn as much as possible. He's played under Carlos Corberán, Graham Potter, Roberto De Zerbi, Maurizio Pochettino, Gareth Southgate, and Lee Carsley. Lee Carsley. I mean, Lee Carsley won the tournament, the under-21s tournament with him, so deserves some respect. Look, man, I did want to reference this because obviously it's positive PR for the Chelsea manager coming from one of his players, but this is a little recurring theme. I've said this before on the channel here. I like to reference, you know, that clip from the A-Star Barbers when Eden Hazard's hanging out, you know, with Reece James just getting a haircut and the barber there. And Eden's asking him about Maresca, and this is when Chelsea were flying. I think, you know, probably when we were second in the Prem still, do you know what I mean? First half of the season. And Eden asks Reece, like, what's the new gaffer like? Is he better than, let's say, Pochettino, without saying Pochettino? Reece reacts. He sort of like frowns, like, yeah, mate. He does a sort of like, yeah, sort of thing, but then realizes the camera's on him and sort of disarms himself a little bit. But that was that sort of visceral, instinctive reaction from Reece James was like, yeah, the new gaffer's much better. Of course, Maresca's dividing opinion because we've seen some, don't sway, Yannick, ruddy, turgid football of late. There is this concern that's been reported by different journalists that the first half of the season when we were playing really well, we were playing quite transitional football, but it's not the way Maresca wants to play. Maresca wants to play a controlled style, what we expected maybe from last summer when he came in. And that style has raised concerns with Chelsea fans about, is that going to get the best out of Cole Palmer? Is that going to get the best out of anyone? There is a school of thought that if you want to be a consistently good top 4 team, you need to have a level of systemic control. So A, you don't burn out and get injuries. B, you don't freak out because you trust the system, And there is a lot to be said about that, especially if you think of the likes of winning the Premier League under Conte, winning the Champions League under Tuchel. Yes, you might say, oh, well, we played a back 3 system, width and counter-attacking, but there was a lot of systemic play, especially under Conte, and the players found it really, really boring in training. That's been widely reported by lots of ex-Chelsea players. But there is safety in that, and I guess the owners and the sporting directors perhaps their perspective is, right, well, that's the safest long-term way of ensuring Chelsea are just consistently decent. And if we add like superstars like Cole Palmer, Esteval, whoever, then we can just be good long-term rather than perhaps a YOLO sort of dangerous transitional football, which is great in theory. But of course, we all watch football to be entertained, and that first half yesterday was one of the most painful things I've watched in a long time. Granted, we pulled out of the fire and got a win, but a couple of great goals as well, which is always nice. Shame about the one we conceded. But my word. And again, mitigating circumstances, rotation, whatever, fine. But that, I can't be seeing that next season, basically, as far as I'm concerned. When, injured players are back, more time under Maresca, a couple of additions that he requires for his system. If I'm seeing that all next season, that football, I will assert myself appropriately. But for the moment, it is what it is. Alright, so he did say some very interesting stuff about Reece James, who of course played in midfield yesterday, scored an absolute belter of a goal. And Simon Johnson of The Athletic, here he is, has written an article about Reece James' new midfield role. So I'm going to jump into this now and read you some and give you my thoughts on it. Yeah? Enzo Maresca summed up Reece James' performance, or his recent renaissance, with a big smile on his face and said, yeah, he's in a very good mood, the Chelsea coach said. It has felt a long time since James has been in any position to feel upbeat. As has been well documented, injuries, mainly to his hamstrings, have robbed the England international of time on the pitch over the last few years, bro. And Chelsea, of using one of their most inspirational players regularly, we haven't been able to use him. His finally placed shot to open the scoring in the second half in Chelsea's 2-1 win, of course, against Copenhagen, wasn't the only significant thing to take from James's contribution. His presence in the first 11 took his appearances for the season to 12. 12 appearances, one more than he'd managed for the whole of last season. The minutes gap between the two campaigns is reading better too. So he had 732 minutes last season compared to the mere 736 this season already, compared to the mere 482 he had last campaign. Wow, okay. Now, no one, not even James himself, would get excited about this achievement, but it should be seen as some cause for optimism, and that corner is finally being turned. It does seem like they're finally dealing with his injuries and his issues properly, hopefully. And this is the 8th time James has featured for Chelsea in the last 10 games. Wow. And that is beginning to look like a good run of matches without suffering any setbacks. It already seems like they're changing the plan with him, though, isn't it? That they're only going to play him once a week. But maybe he's not going to, because it's Leicester, isn't it? So maybe they won't play him against Leicester, to be fair. In October, Maresca said he did not think James was able to play more than once a week. Here we go, perfect timing. After he'd returned to the side, the Italian's gloomy prediction was soon proved right. Having missed the start of the season, James played just 4 times before being ruled out for 2 months. Wow, yeah, that sucked. Maresca is still being cautious now. He left him on the bench for the 4-0 win against Saints, so there we go. With the fixture coming in 3 days, he played the full 90 minutes at Aston Villa. However, sources at the club who spoke to The Athletic anonymously to protect relationships say James felt very good condition to play against Southampton as well. It's seen James is growing in confidence with his body again, which is huge. We can't underplay this, not just because he's Chelsea's captain, but he's one of the best, genuinely, he's one of the best footballers in the world. Maresca's wariness over overextending such a valuable asset hasn't changed, and he surely puts his selection from the start against Leicester City and Sunday in doubt. Yeah, it'd be very strange to see him play there. The responsibility to ensure James remains available for selection weighs heavily on his mind. Maresca said this: "We know how important he is for us. He's our captain. He's a fantastic player, but we all know the most important thing for Reece. We need him to fit. It's our duty and our target to keep him fit until the end of the season because he's going to help us." The next target for James will be to aim for game time achieved in 22-23, which is 24 appearances, 1,936 minutes. This is achievable because Chelsea have 11 Premier League games to go, plus another 6 if they reach the Conference League final, as many expect. There is their participation in the Club World Cup as well. I'm actually looking forward to the Club World Cup, personally. Anyone who's seen James at the very best, he is not at the top of his game at physical fitness yet. That's true, but James is proving he's got a lot more even when he's not 100%. James is the last real link from the successful Roman Abramovich era to the Todd Bowley Clear Lake Consortium, who have not seen the men's senior side win a trophy since they've taken over, of course. James played in the Champions League final against Man City. The only players that left on the books are Ben Chilwell, which, he's out the door. Kepa Arrizabalaga, same. Former Willy Caballero, of course, is the assistant coach at Chelsea. Maresca admitted he expected more from James in terms of the captaincy. Do you remember this? Like, he was asking for more from him, and I said this on Goldberg's playback yesterday. I had reservations about Reece James becoming Chelsea captain, not because he's not a good enough player or loves Chelsea enough. Both of those incredibly apparent, and he's strong, he gets stuck in, and he's proper Chelsea, and whatever, he's an amazing player, great, but he was very quiet and sort of shy and not assertive. But he's doing more things to demonstrate he's got a captain's he's got enough about him to be a captain. He's talking more to the media, he's going to the fans, clapping after bad results when other Chelsea players are too scared to go up to them. So yeah, he's getting more and more of a captain to me. It's possible for it's too early for a call up to the England squad. Thomas Tuchel names, of course, next week. But Tuchel will absolutely be thinking about Reece James and looking how he's fit again. He'll be like, yes, please. Tuchel knows all about James. So look, there's the quotes about midfield. Of course, we're a little bit lacking with Vega, Carney gone, and Lavia. As good as Lavia is, his injury record is concerning. But Maresca said this. He says he can play in many positions because all the good players can play in many positions. At the moment, we're using him as a midfielder. He did say, I always saw Reece James as a midfielder, which is the headline that got many people talking. When I signed with Chelsea, as in when he took charge as manager, probably the day after, I sent Reece a video about him. I see him as a midfielder. When you watch a player, you sometimes need to use imagination and imagine a player doing something. I always imagined him being as a midfielder. I watched some of his games when he was on loan at Wigan. Of course, he played on midfield, where he scored a fantastic goal from 25-30 metres from midfield. But the best thing about Reece is he's helping the team with leadership and growing, and this is really important, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, true. He is looking more like a leader, development and growing. It's very, very positive. Some Chelsea fans have been like, what are you saying? Like, he's a right back. He's a right wing back. He's one of the best right backs in the world. Why do you want to do this? Well, firstly, yeah, he's been not the best at anything in the world because he's not been playing football. We've all spoken about how we're so concerned about Reece, that his career, there was these articles saying that he was being told by physical experts that he needs to go and play in Portugal or Spain for the hotter climate so he doesn't do his hamstrings constantly. When you're even if you're an inverting right back or whatever, there is explosivity expected from like making covering, tracking runs and stuff. Playing in central defensive midfield. Guys, he was given the captain's armband at the end of his loan at Wigan when he was a teenager because he saved them from relegation and he was moved into midfield. He's played midfield for England. He's played midfield for Chelsea. And look, if he inverts into one of these, he could be an inverting midfielder, but one that's a bit more of a CDM. I think he can play as a number 6, a number 8. He can use his footballing ability, his leadership from the middle of the park. He can, affect more players around him more because he's more central. And more than everything else, he can save his hamstrings and have a Chelsea career. Who knows? If he learns to trust his body more and more and more, he gets more and more athletic, his muscles become more and more robust. Chelsea hopefully become a top 4 team again in the next 2 or 3 years. Maybe Maresca moves on. Another coach comes in. Reece, you're not getting injured anymore. How do you feel about playing right back again? He'd probably be like, yeah, let's do it. And he'll be like, what, 27, 28 in his prime. So it's fine, and dare I say, intelligent to do that right now. So I fully back it, man, especially in how we're playing and how you guys know me. I think it's so important to have a presence and quality in the midfield and, leadership in the midfield. To have, Caicedo, Reece James, Enzo Fernandez in the middle of the park just makes me feel safer. Granted, and Alex Goldberg rightly brought this up on his show yesterday, that maybe they don't have the chemistry yet, James and Caicedo together, but that will come. But, the quality, that goal yesterday, he scored James. He can score free kicks. He can tackle, defend, goal line clearances, headers over his own bar, deliberately. Amazing passing. He can spray the ball around. And, of course, the way we play with wingers, we hold the width with wingers. I've got no problem whatsoever him being a midfielder. So, guys, let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments down below in the comment section. As always, I'll thank you for liking and subscribing to this channel, Football Therapy. If you've got a second, do check out Surfshark. Link in the top of the description. Great service, great opportunity to get yourself a VPN. And I hope to see you back here soon. Peace.